Today's daily reading is on Ralph Waldo Emerson's classic essay on compensation, which should be read 100 times and left on your bedside, so it's a reminder of the truth that is so powerful and so important in today's reading. Compensation by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Ever since I was a boy, I have wished to write a discourse on compensation, for it has seemed to me when very young that on this subject life was ahead of the theology and the people knew more than the preachers taught. And so the heart of man might be bathed by an indignation of eternal love, conversing with that which he knows was always and always must be, because it really is now. It appeared, moreover, what if this doctrine could be stated in terms with any resemblance to those bright institutions in which this truth is sometimes revealed to us. It would be a star in many dark hours and crooked passages on our journey that would not suffer us to lose our way. For men are wiser than they know. That which they hear in schools and pulpits without afterthought, it is said in conversation, would probably be questioned in silence. If a man dogmatizes in his mixed company on providence and the divine laws, he is answered by a silence which conveys well enough to an observer the dissatisfaction of the hearer, but his incapacity to make the own statement. For everything you have missed, you have gained something else. For everything you gain, you lose something. Thus is the universe of life. All things are moral. That soul within us is a sentiment. Outside of us is a law. We feel its inspirations out there in history where we can see its fatal strength. The dice of God are always loaded. The world looks like a multiplication table or a mathematical equation, which in turn turns out it balances itself out. Every act rewards itself, said Emerson in compensation. Men call the circumstances the retribution. The causal retribution is the thing and is seen by the soul. The retribution is the circumstance is seen by the understanding. It is inseparable from the thing, but is often spread over a long time, and so does not become distinct until after many years. Cause and effect, means and ends, seed and fruit cannot be severed, for the effect already blooms in the cause. The end pre-exists in the means, and the fruit in the seed. The ingenuity of man has been dedicated to the solution of one problem: how to detach the sensual sweet, the sensual strong, the sensual bright, from the moral sweet, the moral deep, the moral fair, that is again to contrive to cut clean off this upper surface so thin as to leave it bottomless, to get one end without another end. The soul says, eat. The body would feast. The soul says, the man and woman shall be one flesh and one soul. The body would join the flesh only. The soul says, have dominion over all things to the ends of virtue. The soul strives to live and work through all things. It would be the only fact. Drive out nature with a fork, and she comes running back. Life invests itself with inevitable conditions which the unwise seek to dodge, which one and another brags that he does not know, brags that he does not touch them, but the brag on his lips. The conditions are in his soul. Of all the gods, I only know the keys to the solid doors within, whose vaults his thunders sleep. Always pay. For first or last, you must pay your entire debt. You must pay at last your own debt. If you are wise, you will dread a prosperity which only loads you with more. Benefit is the end of nature. But because of the dual constitution of things, in labor as in life, there can be no cheating. The thief steals from himself. Do the thing, and you shall have the power. But they who do not the thing have not the power. Everywhere and always, this law is sublime. The absolute balance of give and take. The law of giving and receiving. What you give is what you receive. What you receive is what you give. Love, and you shall be loved. All love is mathematically just as much as the two sides of an algebraic equation. The good man has absolute good, which, like fire, turns everything to his own. A great man is always willing to be little. When he is pushed, tormented, defeated, he has a chance to learn something. The wise man always throws himself on the side of his assailants. It is more his interest than it is theirs to in his weak point. Men suffer all their life long under the foolish superstition that they can be cheated, but it is impossible for a man to be cheated by only but by himself. As for a thing to be and not to be as the same time, there is a third silent party to all bargains. The nature and soul of things takes on itself the guarantee of the fulfillment of every contract so that honest service can come to loss. If you serve an ungrateful master, serve him no more. Put God in your debt. Every stroke shall be repaid. The longer the payment is withholden, the better for you. For compound interest on compound interest is the rate and usage of this extinguisher. Einstein said one of the greatest laws of the universe is compound interest. So have compound interest working in your favor. There is a deeper fact in the soil than compensation to its own nature. The soul is not a compensation, but a life. The soul is, under all this running sea of circumstance, whose waters ebb and flow with perfect balance, lies the aboriginal abyss of real being. The soul refuses all limits. It affirms in man always an optimism, never a pessimism. But there's no tax on the knowledge that the compensation exists and that it's desirable to dig up treasure. Herein I rejoice with a serene eternal peace. It is the eternal nature of the soul to appropriate and make all things its own. Jesus and Shakespeare are fragments of the soul, and by love I conquer and incorporate them in my own conscious domain. Evermore, it is the order of nature to grow, and every soul by this intrinsic necessity of things. It can be enlargement, and the man of today scarcely recognizes the man of yesterday, and such should be an outward biography of man in time, putting off the dead circumstances day by day as he renews his romance day by day. Not advancing, resisting, or not cooperating with the divine expansion. This growth comes by shocks. Up and onward forevermore. We cannot stay amid the ruins, neither will we rely on the new. So we will walk ever with reverted eyes like those monsters who look backwards. And yet the compensations of calamity are made apparent. To the understanding also, after long intervals of time, a fever of mutilation, a cruel disappointment, a loss of wealth, a loss of friends seems at the moment unpaid loss and unappealable. But the short years reveal the deep remedial force that underlies all facts. The death of a dear friend, wife, brother, lover, which seemed nothing but privation, somewhat later, as assumes the aspect of a guide or a genius, for it commonly operates revolutions in our way of life, terminates an epoch of infancy or of youth, which was waiting to be closed, breaks upon a wanted occupation or the household or style of living, and allows the formation of new ones more friendly to the growth of character. It permits or constrains the formation of new acquaintances and the reception of new influences that prove of the first importance to the next years. And the man or woman who have remained a sunny garden flower with no room for its roots and too much sunshine for its head, by the falling of the walls and the neglect of the gardener, is made the banyan of the forest, yielding shade and fruit to the wide neighborhoods of men. And that's my notes from Compensation from Emerson's essay.